Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rollplay for Verona. I think, unless anyone, and by anyone I mean Haley, has anything else they want to do on the ship, and by anything else I mean kill somebody, I think we can just jump to Cabina. I don't think. I think the rest of the crew keeps their distance from you. Nobody comes to bother you, or the ship doesn't blow up or anything. But I just want to make sure you have a chance. If there's anything else you want to do while you're still in hyperspace isolation. Uh, Anybody have anything they need to do?
I
Christine gets out
mean,
of the situation
outside of
unharmed.
like a Hadil's secret training room montage, like, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm
I
good.
mean, yeah, you have what I think another it's like four more days or something pass before you get
Let's
to
go.
your destination.
I was just
Yeah,
kidding.
so I
Let's
think
go.
it's reasonable to probably
Montage all
begin
that.
there. So when we fade in right on the scene after the break, we see a planet, and it's clearly like a cold and like icy world, but it's not Hoth, right? It's not a snow planet. It's smallish, like big polar caps, and then there's a sort of temperate looking span around the middle. And we see it in the shot, and we get the subtitle Cabina, and then there is the snap of a ship coming out of drive space, the bright burst of color as your ship emerges, and we follow it slowly, kind of into the system, heading towards Cabina. When you arrive in the Benili system, everybody's like personal comms. Anyone who has one start to get messages, right? You pick up all your messages. Most of them, since the group of you are on the run and probably don't have a lot of other people messaging you, most of the content that you get are general like system-wide bulletins. You get your like crux most wanted list updates, and then a bunch of ads, tons and tons of ads when you arrive. But is anybody waiting for a message back from anyone, or like anybody expect any communication?
Maybe
Well,
whoever
certainly
my
Johnny.
sorry.
Oh, I was just
Yeah, not
saying
for
Johnny,
Johnny.
not
Nobody. Johnny doesn't.
nothing.
Nobody calls Johnny.
Oh,
Nobody calls Johnny.
Haley texted Johnny and was like, "Hey," just texted it.
Hey,
Hey.
what's up, queen?
So that's
With
like the
like
equivalent
a
of writing
kitty
someone
cat
a
face.
letter who is your roommate, writing them a letter, going to the post office, putting it in the post office, having the guy pick it up, take it to the depot, come back to your house, and deliver it to the person. So,
On
there's
brand.
that.
On brand.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking maybe she whoever her contact was when she was doing the work on the last planet, um
Mm-hmm.
maybe she's trying to get an update on like what maybe is awaiting them on Cabina since they got
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
ship
Okay.
stat.
So you get you do have a message which at first and to the untrained eye might look like just another ad. So it's a hollow like a hollow ad, and it's a still image which shows that it's kind of cheap. It's not like telling a story or whatever, it's just a picture. So it's like a guy in a parka with like a walking stick, and he's got hiking boots and like cold weather gear and a big backpack, and it's a looping animation of him putting one foot up on top of like the peak of a snowy mountain and putting his hand up to his head and looking around, and we see like fog from his breath as he looks around, and it just loops that over and over. And then above it is a display of the words Shakti Expeditionary Supplies, and then it says underneath, "Don't leave Pilgrim's Rest without a visit." And what is it that indicates to you that this is not just an ad? Like, because everything about it looks like one. Is it like something hidden that you know to look for in the sender data, or like how do you know that this is a message from your contact?
I think the guy who's on the mountain doing the pose has
Mm.
like their face is superimposed with like I'm forgetting his name, but like the nice guy who was like Haley's like buddy back at like the
Mm.
last safe
Mm-hmm.
house. It's just like his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Terry Crews.
Terry
I can't remember what
Crews,
his
my
name in the
best
game
friend
was.
Terry
but
Crews.
Terry Crews, your
Yes.
best friend Terry Crews. Right. Okay. So it flickers for a second, like a glitch, and you see like this other person, and it's a familiar face. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So this to you is a message, right? Like don't leave, don't visit Pilgrim's Rest without popping in or whatever. Like that little message. That's clearly the place that you need to go. And you get that information from the network. But yeah, I think for everybody else, it's a quiet arrival. There isn't really much like going on.
I think there's
So
like a moment
you
where
arrive.
oh, go on.
Yeah, good.
I was just gonna say, like, the fact that there is no message, I think like there is a moment where Autumn is like just staring at the compad, hoping that there's gonna be
Mhm.
some sort of message about the sister or something like that. And then when it doesn't come through, there's just this kind of moment of like looking to the others of like you know, whatever they want to do next, but there's like a sadness there.
Okay, yeah. So something, and I feel like Johnny probably is the most positioned to notice that something's up with Autumn. Would you ask Autumn about it before you land, or like, because everybody's gathering? I think the way it's going to go is you get into the system. It's going to take another whatever 8 to 12 hours to get from the jump point to landing on Cabina. And so you have that time, and near the end, the captain basically will let everybody know, hey, come to the cargo hold. We're gonna offload. We're entering orbit now, like, and walk you through that process of landing. And then you'll land on the planet. Everybody will go out through the cargo hold the same way you came in. So you've got a little bit of time. And Johnny, if you want to have that conversation with Autumn, there would be a window where you could notice and like talk to her about it.
I think Elspeth would want to have that conversation, but I'm not sure if Johnny would actually ask about that because as a bartender, people tell him about their problems. He doesn't ask. He's just like, if he notices something's wrong, he figures Autumn will probably say something eventually.
It's that bartender
But
thing, isn't it? That like, the bartender
Right,
doesn't intrude on somebody who's like clearly sort of like thinking about
Yeah.
something
exactly.
now.
So he doesn't want to just be like, "Oh, hey, we want to tell me what's wrong." If something's really like wrong, I think he's just thinking like Autumn will say something. Um,
Yeah,
so you probably won't ask
that's
her,
interesting.
but I would want to
Yeah.
ask, but he won't.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think there's some time of people gathering their stuff, and we see everyone gather in the cargo hold, minus of course the captain. So Captain Zabulski is landing the ship, and in the hold is Vigdis, Leanne, the engineer who we didn't see like at all, and then Bugs, and Bugs is probably getting the cargo ready to offload, and then obviously the rest of you. So you're in the hold as you arrive, and as the ship lands, right, there's a slight jar as it lands. The captain comes on over the overcom or the intercom and says, this is it. We're here in Pilgrim's Rest. So thanks for flying Zabulski Air. Careful, it's a little cold out there. Cabina, Oh, lady Autumn, if I could just have a word with you in the cockpit before you disembark. Thanks. And there's like a slight squeal or whatever it is. As he presses the button and then turns off.
I want that sound effect for everything.
So, Autumn, do you go and visit Captain Zabulski?
Yes. Like, but very reluctantly. Very reluctantly. Maybe like gather up like my things and my bag so that it's like I've got that thing of like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave. So this is just a real quick thing. Like I gotta go. Like on my bags, like gotta get out of here. But yeah, I will go and
Yeah.
see him on the way.
Okay, so Autumn turns to go and talk to the captain. Does everybody else go? Like the cargo door starts to open, and Captain Zabulski was not lying. It is fucking freezing out there. Like there's this immediate, it's not snowing, it's that like really dry, like it's too cold to snow, and the cargo hold immediately just like a rush of cold air blows through. Vigdis grunts as if like the air is an inconvenience to her, and just like pulls her leather jacket a little tight around her shoulders, like I think that your engineer Leanne looks at everybody like to see how everyone's reacting, and she's grinning. She's got this kind of like home sweet home, like a husky in the back of the truck ready to like jump out and run around in the snow. Like she's just like, hell yeah. Her attitude is much better now that she's back. So she takes like a deep breath and then like shivers with delight, and looks at the rest of you to be like, yeah, pretty cold, huh? Does
I
anybody
don't think
react, or
Johnny
you just
would
go
react.
outside?
I think he's just like, yeah, it's cold, but I don't know if he actually has any.
I was about to
even
say, Johnny,
feel
do you
cold?
feel
I don't think
well?
he
So
feels
you'd have to be
cold.
able to. You'd have to be able to judge temperature, because sometimes like mixing drinks, right? You have to be like, oh, it's cold enough, right?
Well, I mean,
so I think
it
your
depends.
hands would probably be able to.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it depends on how he's making the drink. I don't think he stirs
Yeah.
anything with his hands. Yet, I think he can tell the difference between a hot or a cold drink, just depending on how he makes it. I think it's very technical. I don't know
Yeah.
if he actually feels it. So I think that's up for debate, right? Maybe he does feel cold, but I don't know if it's like painful for him. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
So you can
'cause with his
acknowledge that it is cold, but it doesn't like affect your mental or physical like abilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how to describe it. It's like smelling
Right.
something, but it just doesn't affect you. It's like there's no nostalgia, no memory. You're just like, you just smell it. And you're just like, okay, that's how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. You acknowledge the temperature. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine Yasna, you've been on colder planets than this.
Yeah, whatevs. I live in Nebraska.
Yasna had to cut open a tauntaun and sleep
Yeah.
inside it.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Of
I
everybody in
think
the party,
Haley.
Yasna is the most
Oh.
likely to say, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Yeah, so for Haley, what about you? You've been in Christmas
think-
movies before.
I was gonna say, I think she somehow magically produces like a winter muff for her.
You're right, you're like
hands.
already dressed like a little Christmas
Maybe
elf,
like-
and we're like, what in the hell? Of course, Christmas is not a thing in Acheron Row, but yeah,
Right.
like you'd be dressed in like a festive holiday outfit already.
Right.
Yeah. There's the sound of jingle bells from somewhere and nobody knows where. Yeah. I like it. Okay. All right. So yeah,
Cruxmas.
she yeah, Cruxmas. That's we talked about that, right? That's the holiday. It's become
I
Cruxmas.
think there was
the
something.
day-
Yeah, I remember in season 1 we talked
It's
about
the
it
reverse.
as well.
Good
It's the reverse
Cruxmas
purge.
to everyone.
Yeah, on Cruxmas, everyone obeys the law extra hard, and if anybody does anything wrong, you rat them out because
Oh
it's
my God.
Cruxmas.
Detective
Don't
Santa
break the law
comes
on
and
Cruxmas.
Detective Santa
Yep.
comes for you.
I hate it.
Yeah. So you you're gonna head out into the city, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But let's stick around and see. So Autumn, we cut to you. You're heading towards the cockpit.
I fix my best noble smile of
The
I am
door
being
to the
polite,
cockpit
but
is
I do not
already-
want to be here.
the door to the cockpit is already open. And Captain Zabolski is in his captain's chair. The chair is turned sideways slightly. He's got his boots up on the console, and he's like leaned back in the chair, super casual. And when you come in, he's clearly making it look like he's like, yep, I landed the spaceship all by myself. I'm great. Mission accomplished. Like, he's got this kind of post-landing glow to him. And you come in, and he looks over, and he does the like, oh. And he takes his boots off the thing like, oh, I didn't notice you there. I was too busy being the captain of a spaceship.
He
And
literally called me here. I know
Yeah,
that
right,
that's
exactly.
he's an idiot.
So he takes his feet off the console, and he turns to face you, and he says, so he's like, first of all, I hope your journey here was comfortable. You like the cabin that I prepared for you?
It was very pleasant, thank you, Captain. Unnecessary, but very welcome.
It is my absolute pleasure. I was happy to serve.
Mm.
So, I was thinking, I have another job in the system that I gotta get to, but not for a few days. Thinking maybe I'd stick around in Pilgrim's Rest, maybe check out the local color.
Yeah, I mean, if I suppose if that's what you wanted to do with your free time, yes. I think that we've got some other business to attend to, but I mean, sure, if you've got the free time, why not spend it here, right? Just
You
intentionally letting it go over the head.
Yeah, it's like the thing is we joke about Captain Zabolski being awkward, but we forget that Autumn also is. So he so he says
I think like Autumn is a noble, probably has had also an Eridanus noble. Like other people have probably really tried to get
yes,
have to arranged like stuff like this before. Like I think the one thing that she's become somewhat adept at is the avoiding attention of people that she
right,
doesn't want to spend
deflecting
time with.
suitors.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And this is definitely what she's doing here.
I mean, his approach is much less formal than you normally are used to. But he says to you, if you wanted to sometime in the next couple of cycles before I head back to the old stars, if you want to maybe grab a drink or something. I hear this town can be a little rough. Maybe you need a escort. And he kind of like grins, like I'm a captain of a spaceship.
No,
I'm cool.
I'm sure that Yasna will be able to handle anything that happens. She seems quite intimidating. I'm sure nobody would want to mess with Yasna. But I'm afraid that we're likely to be far too busy. I'm sorry,
So
Captain. It's very
when you
kind
say
of
that,
you.
he's like, he makes a face when you talk about this guy's the worst. He makes a face when you talk about Yasna, and you
Yep.
see him come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I know the conclusion.
Like
he's
he
coming
realized,
to.
like, oh, that's why it hasn't been working. And he's like, and so
Sure, that's what he wants to believe.
right? He's like, God, of course, it's not that I'm not charming. You're a lesbian. So so he's just like, like, of course, yeah. And he's like, yeah. I'm sure Yasna will take care of you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you
Tell
for
your
the
employer or tell the people who paid for your ticket if they ever need anybody to move folks around. Captain S. I'm out there.
I will. Thank you, Captain. Thank you. And then I will just, as soon as I can, leave. Just like, I'm out.
Okay.
Christ on a cracker.
And I think there's almost like in the classic Adam way, like as Autumn begins leaving it and like the doors shut to the cockpit, there is just a like idiot or something like that. Like she mutters under her breath as she makes her way down, like idiot.
Yep.
He's a moron.
Yes, and it's a good thing you're not telepathic, is all I'm saying as you walk away from him.
Oh God! Oh God, Adam!
I'm just saying, it's a good thing. So you leave to go and catch up with your friends. So we cut back to a fairly busy spaceport, but not in the sense of like big commercial vessels. There are a lot of smaller, like ships like the Protecting Neck, right? This place, Pilgrims Rest, I think that's the thing. We get the title card, right? As we cut back to Yasna, Haley, and Johnny coming down the gangplank, we get the title card that says Pilgrims Rest, Cabina. And you see, so again, cold air, everybody's dressed in kind of like Arctic gear. It is a like an enclosed area around the outside, and then there are buildings and warehouses and stuff. You're in a big open area, and then above you is just the sky, and the sky is this just like almost painful blue color. It's so bright. And when you come out into the station, there is a hologram projecting pillar in the center of the landing area. That's like projecting news and docking information. And so it's got like a sign on it, like, with the owner of a blue TX 46,000 freighter, please report to your lights are on, right? Like these little things. But above that, there's a halo. There's a ring of hologram of light, and it's just rotating, right? It's essentially a marquee that spins around. It's got the same message, and at a glance, you see that it's 3 sentences on this rotating banner. It says, "Soul begets consciousness. Consciousness begets soul. All conscious life is valuable and should be treated with respect. We must atone for the mistakes of our past through repentance, through word and deed." And this banner is just slowly rotating around above this pillar, and then below it there is essentially it's like a light post in a major city with all these gig posters stapled to it. So there's just this rainbow of pictures that are like rotating around. So what are you doing with Christine? It's a sci-fi setting, so if you want to have like a hover gurney or whatever, you can totally do that. But she still has the monitoring equipment on her, and she's on the like the gurney. Who's keeping an eye on her? Who's like pulling it along?
I guess it depends on whose shift it was. I mean, if we were all taking turns watching Christine, who wants to step up to that plate? I feel like Johnny is, probably, he's concerned with Christine because in again programming. So
Yep.
he could, take one for the team.
Yeah, so you're keeping an eye on her. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Adam, did we literally come to this planet with zero idea of like what the fuck we were supposed to do when we got off this thing?
I think Haley's that connection with that. I think.
So far, all you know is that Haley supposedly knows what's going on.
I think Haley would have like indicated to them that she'll communicate the next move
Okay, got
once
it.
they're out of the company, like out of mixed company, But I think with
Right.
that ship being so small, it just didn't seem
Okay. Cool.
like the best option. So if they get away from the ship and can kind of find a secluded place, then she can show them the advertisement and explain what's being
Yeah.
communicated there.
So maybe Adam, that's the point. Like, what around this spaceport where we've landed could represent what Vanna's talking
Yeah.
about?
So what you see around the port are a mixture of the sort of the following, right? So there are warehouses or cargo, like customs offices. There is a Cabina's like customs office, and then a bunch of warehouses that are attached to it. So if you're bringing cargo in to the port, that's where you would go. But then also there are a bunch of like bars or coffee shops or like restaurants kind of around the side too. So it's like you've just arrived, you've been eating ship food for 6 weeks. This is your first opportunity to like have a real beer or whatever. And then all around you, you see businesses that they look like outfitters or expedition supply companies. There's a lot of like places selling like rope and climbing gear and snowshoes, and it kind of has this like mountain base vibe. And you look around, you see a lot of people that are carrying like expedition gear. Somebody walking by with a big length of rope around one shoulder. People that are trying on like boot spikes. And so you see that all around, and then from there there's the rest of the city of Pilgrims Rest, and it's made up of a bunch of stuff. But that's what you see at a glance looking around, in addition to all the other ships being refueled, and it's a bustling port. But it seems like it's mostly like explorers and stuff that are here. It's hard to pick up on kind of what the vibe is of this place yet.
Is there a learn about Cabina, like information
yeah.
here?
I mean, you can go over to the pillar, right, and just like talk to the VI system if they have one, or you can just look at.
I
It's
would
like a
imagine
giant
that,
thing that says like it's like a map, like in a mall. Like you are here.
yeah,
You fucking
yeah.
bend pretzels down that way, and
So
yeah.
I guess just knowing that like we can't really discuss what next steps are with Haley, like my objective would be to find out as much as I can in as little time of where we are at, and so I would do that.
Yeah, you want to walk over and check out the pillar?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Okay.
I will try to find us a place where we can meet. Uh, you all stay here, and
I
I'll
look
go.
nervous. I look
All right.
scared.
So you
Don't leave us, please.
you walk over, and there are a bunch of people standing around this central comms pillar, and they're all like doing kind of the same thing. One of them you see is flipping through like job postings. Someone else is looking at a map, kind of confused, and you can see them like turning their head to try to be like, wait, and then do I go? And like, so you see this group of people around, and as you walk up, a beam of light kind of like scans your face, and then a hologram appears in front of you, and it looks like, so the hologram is a person, and they have like clearly sort of slightly cartoony features, like it's like a Pixar version of a person. He's wearing a cowboy hat. He has a bunch of stubble, and then he's dressed in a bunch of like cold weather climbing gear, but he has a sheriff star pinned on his like puffy jacket for some reason. And when you walk up, he looks at the hologram, looks at you, and it's like slightly twitchy, like a little bit like Max Headroom, right? Like a little bit like sort of jerky presentation. He turns and looks at you, and he says, well, welcome to the rest. How can I direct you?
Is he supposed to be John Wayne?
Yeah, for some reason.
Uh,
Oh, howdy there, Pilgrim.
Look at
are
all
you
the
headed?
horses. Uh-huh.
Oh,
What-
yeah.
What?
John Wayne.
Do you want to play the character? Because you're doing a better job
No.
than I was.
No. It's just fun. I like doing voices.
what are people exploring here?
Well, Pilgrim, you're standing at the edge of the Hamasa Glacier. It's one of the biggest glaciers on Cabina, and the only way to get to Mugen Jishi. Would you like to learn more about Mugen Jishi?
Yes.
And then there's more, like you can see like loading time, right, where he flickers slightly, and
Like
and
spins
he
his
says,
gun. He's like,
yeah, right,
like the loading. It's the loading
Yep.
animation.
So he says, Mugen Jishi is the second largest city on Cabina, most popular for visits from pilgrims like you. And like points. But remember, the trip across the glacier is very dangerous.
Do you have a map?
Well, sure. And he, you see him like reach into his pocket and unfold a map, and it just appears. It's a map of like a city, and then all around it is like white, like glacier, and you can see a little line like that like travels across the glacier down to Pilgrim's Rest.
Do you have a map I can hold?
Yeah, and he says, just place your personal communication device in the transmission field. And he puts his hand out, and there's like a glow.
Yeah, I put it
So
up
you
there.
hold your watch windows, and it gives you a little like ping showing that you've received some piece of information.
Mogen Gishi, can you only travel there through the glacier?
He says, well, there is an emergency shuttle port on Mugen Jishi, but you have to have a permit to use it, and they're hard to come by. Easiest way, if you want to call it that, is by one of the 10 approaches. And then you see a map, and it shows a bunch of different like ways to get there, and each one is labeled with like some different like terms. And I think they probably have like difficulty indicators on them. Like one is triple black diamond, and then one is like a one black, and so it shows you like these different routes across the glacier up to the city.
Okay. I think Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Pilgrim.
And he
And
he tips his hat and he says, "You have yourself a good day, ma'am or sir." It's not a
I just
very good hologram.
I walk back
Yeah.
and reconvene.
Mhm.
Let him know I have a map. I have a map. There are several buildings around the city that we can get some supplies and go climbing, or perhaps talk to Haley about what we are supposed to do next.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
let's
Haley,
go.
you know you're looking for a particular like front business. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're out of the spaceport, right? We've
Well, like
left
in the space.
the.
So when you say the spaceport, do you mean like the vicinity of the ship? Because you can walk into town. Pilgrim's Rest is a town. Like if you think about like all of the people that try to climb Mount Everest, there are a bunch of
Right.
little like sort of towns at the base of Everest where they would start and then climb up.
Right.
This is like
Right.
that. This is one of those little towns.
Okay.
And so
I
most of
just
it is like
yeah. I'm just thinking
people
of
coming
like
and going.
to not be in like the middle of a mass of people, like just to
Yes.
leave. Like I'm thinking like an airport. We don't want to be in the middle if we're gonna have this conversation. We
And
don't
then
want to
that's
be in
where
the
you are.
middle.
Yeah,
Like,
you're standing out
okay.
in the airport.
Okay. Um. Wait, we are in the airport or we're not?
You can leave. I mean, I'm not forcing
Okay.
you to stay there. You can tell me where you
There
are.
is a
You must
coffee
stay
shop
there and discuss your plans.
next to the information booth, and I hear they don't sell coffee, but they are called coffee shops. Let's go there.
So here's the miracle of
Oh.
miracles. These ones actually do, because pretty much all the coffee in Acheron Row comes from this planet. So
You-
this is
you are-
one reason people
and
come to
then-
Cabina.
You're wrong. That is a deli. Sells coffee.
Right. You're like, this is a pizza joint that sells coffee. Come on. Okay. All right. So you go to you go into one of these shops, and yeah, it's quite enough. You go to the back, and I think pretty much everything in here, this is all the sort of like touristy area. So one of the places that you can visit, one of the closest ones, is set up to be kind of like rugged. So like there's all this like fake wood paneling and like a synthetic, like some kind of animal head up on the wall. Yeah. And so you find a corner here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll show you this transmission that I got. It might look like a very, average ad, but I promise you there's some particular information in here that I think we will find of use.
She'll kind of pass it around.
Yeah. Yeah. You just show it.
What was it again?
It's like
like a
a
hiking
mountaineer.
store.
It looks kind of like a Ricola ad, right? Like it's like an Alps like guy climbing up and looking around. And he only got to the top of the mountain by visiting this supply store. So yeah, it's just an ad for a place where you can buy climbing equipment. It's like an REI.
So we should go there.
Yeah, I think that's sort of our next step, and then hopefully we can get a bit more direction on what our next move is, or
Are we in the shop and Christine is still in this like floating medical bed?
I assume that you have covered her with something, so it's not like she's just laying there.
Our
So
packs
we're
are
gonna
on
pull
top of
now.
her. and stuff.
You hear her just groan slightly under a pile of stuff. Don't worry about it. That's nothing. That's just our friend Bernie. Don't worry about him.
Sorry,
Don't worry about it.
Wow.
I just
No,
thought
I
about
think,
it.
I think you have her, but it's easy enough to travel with her incognito.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we all go?
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean-
really want us to split up.
I do think Christine is a bit conspicuous in her current state.
But aren't
You
we?
know-
If we meet the people that are helping us, can't they? Isn't she supposed to be meeting with them as well? Like, could they just, take her away?
Take her away.
Well, like, I'm assuming that there was somewhere she wanted to go after she got here.
So Autumn's plan is, as you're leaving the Starbucks, to just ball her up and put her in the trash and hope somebody else deals with her.
No,
Or...
like take her to this place where the contacts are meeting us. Like, and like my understanding is that we've each got we're each coming to this place because there's somewhere else that everybody's gonna go off to, and I'm assuming that Christine is gonna have somewhere else that she was meant to have gone on to, and whoever we're
Yeah.
meeting is gonna help her do that. That's my assumption.
You could
I'm
have
not just gonna put her in the trash and just like throw her
I was
down a
gonna say, like,
glacier and
I
be like,
mean,
So you're
We did our
on,
best.
you're on your way. You're on your way to the Interstellar REI, and you see down a side street, you see an enormous trash incinerator, and you see a guy throwing their unwanted garbage into it. What do you do?
I'll be right
Yeah, I mean,
back,
she's-
everyone.
She's unconscious, but she's as much your responsibility as you want to make her. But yeah, to that point, Autumn, like, yeah, maybe somebody. I think you're right about if your thoughts are if we go to this place that we're all meant to go, then someone maybe will know her or like
yeah,
want to take
that's
her
the
off our
kind of
hands to
thinking
like
I'm
help
thinking.
her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think that makes sense.
Do we want to
then
like
that-
wake her
I'll
up
go.
before then, or do we just want to deliver her in this floating glass coffin covered in luggage?
I defer to
One day, a handsome crux prince will kiss her, and she'll waken from her magical slumber, and then she'll annoy him.
Yancy.
So
Yeah,
Oh,
Yancy
that's
will
right.
wake her up.
Perfect.
Yancey and Christine forever.
Hey, Haley, don't you want her to still be asleep?
Well, I just think she's drawing a lot of attention as is, and that's saying a lot compared to her normal amount of attention that she draws, so sort of a lesser of two evils thing.
I think we should leave her in her comatose state.
Okay.
If we wake her and she starts screaming or is disoriented again,
Yes.
Right. Okay, well then
Yeah.
let's just go walk about
Let's-
town with our floating glass coffin.
We're gonna need to
Covered
like
in
put one of those
luggage.
little like flags on her. You know how like dogs have like the yellow tag or whatever that's like "Don't touch me."
She's our service animal.
Like we need to like if she wakes up and freaks out, we'll be like, no, it's fine. She's just like that. Like just pay her no mind.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Whatever y'all say.
So, yeah,
Okay.
in the garbage bin.
So, yeah.
In the
right.
incinerator.
Are you just gonna go to the location of this place? It's on Yasna's map, right? Like if you just search for it, the map that Yasna downloaded contains all of that.
Yeah. Looking at the advertisement, is there some sort of like embedded like secret code or something that like when we get there that I'm like
Not that you
$2
can see.
$2
No,
Tuesday. And then they let us in like
I'm
a back
looking
room.
for some pitons. I'm looking for some pitons. Well,
I'm
you've come to
looking.
the right place.
Replace.
Oh.
So yeah,
I
no,
need
there's
4
just the
pitons.
ad. You don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be if we're all good to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So with Christine in tow, you head for the supply store. On your way, you notice Yasna Hadil. It's like you notice her at some point. The two of you are walking, and you hear her. She's muttering something to herself. And when you look over, she has both arms like wrapped around her torso, and she's like shivering. And if she notices you, Yasna, you looking at her, she looks at you, and she just like shivers and shakes her head, and she's like, I know this planet is supposed to be safe, but it's freezing. Hate it here.
maybe we can get a coat at the exhibition store.
And she nods, and she's like, yeah, that would be good. Or maybe I can go inside and never come out again.
Do you want to
That
hold me?
Work too.
she stops and looks at you and she says, "What good would that do?" You make the universal
The
sign for
grabby hand.
uppies.
Pick up time.
Body heat, and I got these nice furs on.
Make a charm roll. Make a charm roll. Difficulty 3. Put 3 purple in there.
I think while this is
Alright.
going on, like, Hadil's not the only one, like, shivering. I think Autumn, being the fleshy, squishy human, is also just like, ah!
Cold ass planet.
Like,
Uh,
internal
it-
screaming of, like, why?
Did
It
you
is-
break it again?
it is-
Vanna?
I'm not breaking it.
Vanna, you're
I
the
am
only
not
one
doing
breaking this. I've rolled fine.
It's fine for everyone else.
You roll
Vanna. I don't
fine.
know
You
the
roll
problem
fine
is.
right after I roll, and then we let it
Well,
sit for a
let
while,
me-
and it goes
Let me just
dormant.
see. Hang on, I'm
It's
gonna
okay.
do a little.
Let me spin it up. It'll take a second, but your roll should automatically
Okay.
jump in when it re-rolls. There it is. Okay. We got an extra
Okay.
biopsionics out of you, but thanks.
Sure.
Oscar. So
Dang.
you get 2 successes. You overcome. You can take a strain, but you overcome Hadil's natural inclination, and she for a minute is able to forget that you're 180 years old or whatever. And so when you stand there, like, pick me up. She looks around and she shrugs and she reaches down and just scoops you up. And she's like very strong, so she just lifts you off the ground like real easy. And now she's carrying you with like one arm kind of under your butt and like is holding you. And she kind of like looks at you and there's like a squint and she says, "All right, this is kind of nice."
Right? I'm kind of cozy.
And she looks at you, Yaz, and they're like, "Not a word. Shut up. Don't talk to me." And then the
Okay.
two of them, and Haley, she just carries you to the rest of the way. Yeah,
Trying to
just
help
holding
you
you,
out.
holding you all. It's all snuggled up.
At the end of that
And I mean,
exchange,
it works.
I whisper, "She's got the gun.
She's what?
She's got a gun."
She's
Oh.
got a gun. I mean, if the gun is just in your sash or whatever, Hadil would have felt it when she picked you up. So yeah, she knows.
She knows.
So
And
I
also,
think
sorry,
she looks past Haley. If Haley is kind of up like here, she looks past Haley at you, Yaz, and she nods and like rolls her eyes like, "I know."
we don't have any shit. Do me and
Haley
do
and her
me
2
Deal have
moms.
shit? We don't have shit. We're good.
It's just important
Sorry.
to know when
On
the
the
kid
rest.
you're carrying around has a gun.
Oh, that's true. I have a knife too.
Do you say
Um,
that?
I have a knife too. Did we on the rest of that trip? Did we recover all of our strain back?
Yeah. There was enough
Oh, I
time
did.
between then and now. Yeah. So clear your strain. Everybody's feeling
Okay.
fine except for Christine.
Mhm.
So yeah. So this is the first strain you've taken so far. So you just have the one.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So you arrive at this emporium, and it's about as janky as the ad, right? It's got a big kind of flickering neon sign of this guy like taking that step up on the mountain and like looking around. But the thing is like flickering, and sometimes he's halfway up the mountain and he starts over again. And there's a jingle that's sort of trying to play from a broken speaker embedded in the display, but it's not working properly. And the front doors, when you walk up, one of the doors slides open, the other tries, gets stuck, and then slides shut. So you can come in, but you have to kind of like squeeze in. And when you come in, it's crowded. It kind of looks more like a Salvation Army or like a Value Village, but for mountaineering equipment. So there's all these like mismatched racks of like boots and gloves and coats and like all of his stuff just sort of piled in places. It's not very big, or if it is kind of big, it's too full of stuff to feel that way. And when you come in, there's a faint like bing bong at the door, and you hear it echo in the back somewhere, and you hear a voice from the back shout, "Hold on a second, I'm just with someone. Just browse around."
I'm going to do as suggested, and I'm going to browse for some warmer clothes.
Yeah.
Johnny will also
yeah.
do some browsing, but he's really just
Mhm.
trying to blend in because he doesn't know what he's actually looking for.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
I am looking
Ah.
at clothes. These are good clothes.
Yeah, so
You-
it's full of, here's the thing. As you look around, I think Autumn, like, you pick up a coat and you're like, oh, this seems good, and you turn it and there's like a burned hole in the back of it. Like, you can just look through it and like put your finger through.
Back.
You find there's a bunch of like mismatched boots where you'll pick up a boot and be like, where's the other one? And you can't find the matching boot. There's like rusty climbing axes, and there's a case up at the front, a glass case with slightly more technical looking equipment, the kinds of things that this person thinks might get stolen, but it's all at least a decade old, and none of the, like, all these this electronic equipment in the case looks like also like thrifted. And so you're all kind of split up and looking around this place. The whole thing has a vague scent, for those who are able to perceive smell, a vague scent of like human stink, like just like mixtures of various old sweat,
Vegetable
and
smell.
and like old leather too. Like, you smell that kind of musty, like, yeah, it's a
So it smells like a thrift store.
Yeah,
It really does.
yeah, that's the thrift store smell.
It's like
Like
a
vintage
used
clothing store
athletics
smell.
equipment store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it smells
I
like used
immediately have to
football
go to
gear.
the bathroom because a thrift store always makes me go to the bathroom.
So you
no,
come
wait,
in
no one else gets
and
that. No,
No,
or like a bookstore.
no,
Go-
no,
no?
Anna, no.
Chat, back me up.
You mean you enter a bookstore and you need to go to the bathroom, like you
You
need
have
to
to poop.
pee or
Yeah,
whatever.
you
You have to poop?
I
Yeah,
have
you
never
enter
had that
a
experience. No.
bookstore or a thrift store, and it's like the smell. Wow.
No.
Okay.
Smell of,
Well,
like, nobody. That's not. Nope.
Nobody in
That's
chat
totally
really
a
with you
thing.
on this
Say
one
I've
either.
ever like gone into a Barnes and Noble and be like, now I really gotta shit.
I gotta go.
Every
I gotta
time,
shit.
every
I gotta
time.
take a big old deuce. Fiction, hardbacks.
inside the Barnes and Nobles.
Exactly.
Hey, is that Michelle
Okay.
Obama's new book? Ugh, I gotta go.
It's a used bookstore. I'm calling Reddit, and y'all are all gonna be sorry.
Perfect. So you take a minute to kind of like spread out into the store and look around, and you hear in the back the sound of somebody like clattering around, and then the door opens behind the shelf, and you see a guy come out. He's probably in his like mid 40s. He's balding. He's wearing a pair of overalls and like a flannel shirt with like a blue and red pattern on it. He looks like he can't decide if he has a beard or not. Like, he has kind of like a chin strap thing going on, and like there's some stubble coming in, but it's like he hasn't totally committed yet. And he he doesn't look like he's not for Yasna. Nothing about him reads as a threat. Like, he's not holding a gun or like anything like that. And he comes in smiling, and he looks around and he says, "Oh, hey, look at all the customers. Hi, hey everybody. Who's the closest person to him when he comes out?"
Where is
Well,
he
Doesn't matter
in
to me.
relation to
So you can
this?
pick
Coming
anybody.
out
He
the
just
back.
I
comes out
think
of
the
he comes out
question
of the
is
back.
is was the bathroom open, or was there a key that Haley would need in order to use the bathroom? Because if there is a key, then Haley would be the closest, because
Yeah.
she's doing that like
She'd be
dance, waiting for the. So you can answer this, Adam.
Yeah, I imagine there is a key for the washroom, because it's sci-fi. It's a magnetic key, but it's still attached by a chain to like an enormous like climbing
Moose
axe. This
antler.
like huge like two-handed and it's attached to it, and it's hanging on the behind the counter with the chain and the little key hanging behind it. And probably on the head of the axe is etched the words "customers only." So now we know the bathroom key situation. So yeah, he comes out and he looks around. He probably doesn't see Haley because Haley's so small, and yeah, it's probably one of those. Maybe Yasna, maybe you're the first one he sees when he comes out, and
Okay.
so he comes out into the room. He sees you, Yasna, and he's like, oh hey, customers. So what can I help you find today? You have come to the most deals-conscious mountaineering outfitter in all of Pilgrim's Rest. I will get you up that glacier, and I will get you there safely and warmly. I mean, not personally. I don't climb myself. I will give you the tools you need to get up there safe and sound, and I'm going to do it on a budget. And he gestures. You see anything you like? What are you looking for? You taking the whole haul? What path? You know yet? Have you picked a route? You got assistance?
I do believe that we are in dire need of some better outfitting for the climate here, but we are here for more.
And he nods and he says, we got anything you need. And he taps the glass case. He says, I got all the good stuff in here. You got your modern mountaineering equipment. This guy right here, that's a topographical scanner. It's only
Yasna
45
puts
years
up her
old.
hand.
Real deal.
She won't even interrupt this guy. Words aren't even words. She puts up her hand.
Yeah, he stops.
And I say, we are here for more. And I kind of motion towards Johnny, because it's the only sort of subtle way I think I can say this without just being grabbing this guy by the collar. The fuck do we do now?
Well, so
come on.
Remember, the clue here was given to Haley, who he hasn't seen yet. So when you say that, Yasmin, you say
did everyone else decide I was in the bathroom? Is that what happened?
I thought you were just short, and this place has a lot of racks.
Okay.
But if you're in the bathroom, that's cool too.
I'm not in the bathroom.
All right, I'm saying. So he hasn't seen her yet. So he turns and looks at Johnny, and he says, "Oh, hey, that's an old model. You're a Johnny unit, right? Haven't seen one of you in a while. And you're gonna take this old guy up the glacier? Well, that's braver than me. I gotta tell you, I don't really do toaster modifications. Sorry, guy. I mean, artificial assistance. I don't. It's not really my thing. I'm more of a scavenger.
Are these leather gloves for sale? The fingerless ones? They look.
And
they look real cool.
Yeah, and he looks and he says, "Oh, hey, yeah, there's two of them. Definitely. Yep. Those are 25 credit. You know what? You can have them both for 30.
25.
Okay. I mean, sounds like a good deal to me. You said you were the guy for good deals, so I trust you implicitly."
Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, all right, good. This is working the way it's supposed to. So you come over to the counter, and I think maybe that's when he spots Haley, as you're walking up. So Haley, maybe you come around a rack of clothes or something, and he sees you, and he looks at you and he's like, oh, hey Sarah, what are you doing here? Oh, yes, sorry, you. That's weird. You look just like somebody I know. I'm sorry. Is this your kid? And he looks at you, Yasna,
And I look back at Haley, just kind of, is
this part of the shtick? Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on?
I don't know.
Is there anyone else in the store?
Nope.
Maybe I
Christine
have that
and
little
deal.
whisper chat with him. What do we just tell him? We saw the message.
Let's just go along with it and see what happens.
You are going to be Sarah?
Sure.
Well, he already said oh, I'm mistaken. You just you look like somebody I know. He knows that you're not this person. Yes, old friend, it is I, Sarah, who
Only
you know and will do
you
things for.
saw the message, so certainly that means something.
Maybe I'll show him.
Your gun? Oh, the message. Oh, yes, yeah,
Oh,
of
no.
course. The message, yes.
So you're gonna show him the ad that you got is what's happening? Is that okay? You're like, look at this. And he's like, oh, what's that you got there? And it flickers to life. And he watches it and he says, oh yeah. Yeah, special promotion. Hang on a second. And he reaches down under the desk and he reaches for something. Does anybody want to do anything, or do you just watch him do the thing? It's like, oh yeah, that's a special. Give me a second. And he like reaches down under towards the counter.
Like pushing a button like loads of times. He's like, yeah.
Hey,
Just let
wait
me...
a
Well, he
second.
hasn't got it yet, right? He's like, this is that moment where he's just like, oh, just hang on.
Wait, hang on a second, buddy. Are these 20? You said 25. And then you bumped it up to 30. You're trying to oversell me or something?
They're 25 a piece, but you can have them both for 30. And he
Okay, wait.
while
I have
talking,
another question.
and he stops and he looks at you, Haley, like, is this thing for real? Okay. And he turns to you and he says, yeah, what can I do for you?
Johnny like leans in like all like buddy, like he's trying to like rest his elbows like on the countertop. How long you had this shop for?
A while. It belonged to my uncle. Why?
You look real familiar.
He nods. He's like, I get that a lot. There's this old TV show that Prism used to do about this dumpy detective. I got his jowls. People say that all the time.
Right. Yeah.
What? While Johnny's distracting him, can Haley get like a low vantage point peek at what he was reaching for?
Yeah. There's a like a button under the counter. It's not labeled or anything, but it's just like a red, like a little button, and you can see a wire running down to the floor.
Can I see where the wire goes?
Into the floor.
Just down.
Yeah, it's like a little like insulated cable that runs across the seam of the underside of the desk and then down into a hole in the floor.
Hey, how much for that toque up there, pal?
He's like, Duke, you're speaking my language. Come on. And he like goes over to show you all of the knitted caps that he's imported from Space Canada. So yeah, the two of you go over to like look at hats, I guess. Haley, he's wandered away from the button.
I think Haley just looks at Yasna and Autumn and is like,
There's a
Autumn
button.
at this point is in the middle of all the stacks. Like Autumn's like still going through all the clothes.
Autumn's shopping.
She's
Okay.
shopping.
Haley looks at Yasna and is like, there's a button. There's a button.
And Johnny's got him distracted right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, he already pushed the button, right?
No, he didn't get a chance. He was reaching for it, and then Johnny was like, Tukes.
Would it be too obvious if I like shuffled over to like look at what Haley's
No.
seeing?
Yeah. No, that's fine. You can look. Yeah, it just looks like I mean, that fear that you were having about like panic button or like whatever it could be, something like that. You can't tell at a glance what it's for. He obviously knows, but it looks pretty well used. It doesn't look like it's not like a nuclear launch button under a glass dome or anything. Like it's got lots of like daily use hand grime on it. It's not a like a button that never gets pressed.
Okay.
So this is okay because Johnny's just over there with the store owner right
Yep.
now.
Yeah,
Johnny's
totally.
just like
Johnny has him
looking
distracted.
over his shoulder, like, okay.
Maybe I would just then just like motion Hadil to take the front door,
Okay.
and
yeah.
literally create a
She gives you a
perimeter,
nod
like
and like, yep.
yeah,
Yeah, she walks over to the door.
and just be on the ready.
Yeah, I think we might just need to trust the process. Maybe this is a good button. Maybe it's a good big red button.
I mean, I actually kind of agree, so I nod and,
You're right.
and
You're like,
say,
maybe this is the good kind of button.
I nod and I think I just
Good
say
button,
like
guys.
it's still we should still be ready for anything.
I will be right back. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So Haley runs off, overpowered by the smell of thrift store. While Autumn. I gotta go. It smells like a bookstore in here.
Happens.
I gotta go.
God, that's when you gotta go.
You're creating such a
you
visual image, Adam, that like it just comes flooding to our senses. Like,
Yeah, right. Exactly. My GMing is so good that I can trigger simply by describing a smelly thrift store. I can trigger that instinct. That is the true power of the game master. So, so yeah. I mean, do you let him come back and push the button, or do you push it for him, or what do you think? Because he'll talk to Johnny about hats for a little while, and then he'll be like, all right. Here's, these three look great. You try these ones on. There's a mirror over there you can check out. I'm going to head back to the counter and talk to your friends. And he goes back. And then you just let him do the thing?
I mean, Johnny he doesn't want to be too conspicuous, but he's definitely a very invested customer. So he goes, hey, wait. What's this material?
And he stops. And he's like, he looks around at everybody. He's like, okay, so it's clear that everybody's feeling very tense about the button. I just need to, I just need to push the button so I can close the store, so we can all talk about the real reason you're here, and I can stop trying to sell your Tin Man friend a new hat. Is that okay?
Hey, what if I'm actually interested in this hat, pal?
He looks and he's like, you need a hat as much as I like running this business. And
Johnny puts the hat back.
Yo.
Yeah. And so he walks over and he looks at you, Yasna, and he's like, is that all right? I'm just gonna close the store down.
Close the store, yes.
And he reaches underneath and he hits the button. And we cut to an exterior shot of the city, and a small mushroom cloud goes out of the destroyed building, and you're all killed. Bad ending. So no, he presses the button, and yeah, like there's a faint kind of like warning beep at the door. You hear like a computerized voice be like, curtain is coming down, watch your step. And a metal curtain like slides down over the door. On the outside, we see the hologram flicker and go off and be replaced by a sign that says come back soon. And it shows the same like climber guy, but he's in like a alpine lodge, like drinking a beer. So it says, yeah, come back soon. It closes, the interior lights dim, and then the like emergency or like the off time lights come on, these like much harsher lights, and he says, here we go. Well, I'm glad you got the message. I thought there was going to be one more of you. And he like counts, and
I think Autumn like pops out from the railing as he's counting, because obviously I'm guessing he's not missing Autumn but somebody else. And she's got on like a big white puffy ski jacket and white earmuffs and big Ugg boots, and she just is like, I think I found the stuff that people didn't die in, and like points to like a corner of the store. Right, and it's like, the look, why is the store closed? Like, she's just confused.
The look I imagine that Autumn is wearing now is like Aspen trophy wife.
Yeah,
right?
No,
like,
that we talked about it. Sorority girl winter like holiday. That's what the chat and me came up with.
Yeah, perfect.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you look great. Autumn pops out looking like $1 million.
I'm really
Somebody else's
confused
$1 million,
why the
but
store
still.
is closing. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, because you were shopping.
When he said one more, he's not talking about Christine. He's talking about Martin.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's talking about Martin.
Then I
so
would
yeah, he
speak
looks he's
up.
like, I thought there was going to be one more of you.
We had some problems at the farms, and Martin. Well, we don't know what happened to Martin.
He shakes his head.
We
He's
didn't
like,
like Martin
"Oh,
very much.
I'm so sorry.
He was not supportive of the cause.
And
I
when
would
you
I
say
would
he
go as
turns,
far to say he's a detriment.
and he turns and he says, "What do you mean? Did something happen? Did they follow you?"
We were
No,
attacked.
no one. Well, no one followed us
We were-
here.
No one followed us here, but we were attacked on whatever the name of the planet. I can't remember. my memory.
Yukia.
Yakia. We were attacked on Yakia. We had to. Yeah, Martin was shot. We couldn't save him.
Yukia. That's rough. I'm sorry you had to come here by way of there. Losing Yukia was. It's a setback, but you're safe now. All of you,
Thank you.
as safe as you can be for the time being. You can rest as long as you're here. And he gestures, and I've got rooms in the back. You know what? Come here. I'll show you. And he turns, and he opens the door into the back, and he gestures like, "Come on." So you want to go?
Yeah.
Can I just? This is pure. This is more instinct rather than Autumn probably being suspicious. Can I precog what happens like when we go through the door? Like just as like a like I think this is like her mild paranoia.
How far ahead do you want to look?
But like from like a minute to 10 minutes, like basically like what's going to happen in that kind of short period of time, just like a little flash forward.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's only like a few minutes, let's say it's average difficulty, so just 2.
Average, so 2. Just because I think like her general paranoia would come in. Let me get this up here. So 2 precog. No.
Okay.
No success.
So your advantage you can use for whatever you normally use advantage for. If you want to spend it to recover strain, which I don't think you have any of right now, so you can hold on to it for advantage dice.
Yeah, if I can hold it on for an upgrade or something.
Your paranoia is useful in the sense that it puts you on edge where you're ready for danger, but it's not. You can't focus enough to see exactly what's going to happen. Yeah,
like
so you can use 2 to recover and then
visions.
have 1 bonus one or whatever. But yeah, exactly. You're not. You can't. Yeah, you can't see. Unclear the future is.
Unclear the future is always in motion.
This guy, and I guess you know what? He opens the door and he looks and maybe sees some hesitation, and he's like, "Oh, you've been on a long and probably pretty arduous journey." And he looks at the body of Christine, and I bet you're all kinds of confused and upset. I don't. Listen, my name's Hugh. And he puts his hand out to whoever is like nearest to him.
I'll shake it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. So you shake his hand, and he says, I used to be a monk, and I saw the bad things that people were doing to each other and to folks like you, and it broke my heart, and I left it all behind, and I came out here to try to help. I want you to know that I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you safe. The universe has done you a bad turn, and I'm looking out for you as long as you're here. Okay.
I think I actually like put my hand on Hugh's shoulder and say, "Thank you. We feel more comfortable now."
I know it must be hard, being out there and everybody, treating you the way that they do. So, I mean, we're gonna try and get you sorted out. All right. Anyway, come on back. I promise it's much more comfortable back here.
Okay.
And yeah, he leads you into the back
Yeah.
part of the facility, and it's essentially a short kind of like peeling floor paneling, kind of bad lighting hallway. There is a staff room, and you can hear the sound of like a soap opera or something playing on a holo projector in the room. This is a staff room. It smells like some kind of microwaved food back here. But at the end of the hall, there's a door, a big metal door, and on it it says out of service. It's got a big like sign on it. And he walks over to it, and he's like whistling to himself, and he pops open a little panel, and he starts punching in a code, and he hits enter on the code panel, and there's a clunk as the sort of vault door like opens up, like swings in, and he says, "You're the first ones here, so you get pick of rooms, I guess. Come on." And he leads you back to the door. And there's like a little like house back here. You walk into a main room that's sort of vaguely circular shaped. It's got some white like faux leather like couches around a central entertainment console. In the back, you can see there's a little kitchen. There's a stove and a fridge, and there are doors around the outside that lead into smaller rooms. And it's clear that this place it feels a bit like an old hotel, in the sense that you can see the marks on the floor from where people walked from the door to their room. You know, you can see the place where the flooring is starting to get a little bit thin. The couches are all starting to kind of crack, but everything is like clean and well lit and doesn't smell like Mountaineer back here. And the lighting is like gentle, and I think probably there's some kind of like music playing, some quiet like music that involves chimes, like playing quietly when you come in. And he gestures and he says, my house is your house. Well, I mean, it is this is why we have it. It's kind of a like a way station. Nobody stays here for too long, but don't make it seem like I'm trying to chase you out. You take all the time you need. I know you probably had a rough time getting here. And he turns and he says, I don't want to be rude or anything, but is she okay? He gestures to Ian.
She's fine. There was some trouble with her memory, and she just wasn't very well. So, we've made sure that she's getting some rest for now. But I think she's gonna be okay. I don't know. We were kind of hoping that maybe somebody was waiting for her or expecting her, or somebody might know her, or
That sounds about right. This happens all the time. The way the network functions is by keeping people in the dark most of the time. I only knew that I was going to have to expect you, and I didn't know what you were going to look like, and he looks at Haley and he says, that's why I mistook you for someone else when I first saw you. So I'm in the dark too, but if you're here, then that means somebody important put you in my hands, and it's my job to look after you. But I'm sorry, I don't have any information for you. There's no mission or anything.
oh,
Well, is there our next steps? Yes.
Well, I mean, that depends. What do you? Most of the people that come through here, they're looking for safety, somewhere to hide, a chance for a new life, and Cabina's got plenty of that. But other people, they got other plans, right? Everybody's got complicated lives. So, if there's things you need, maybe I can help. It might take some time, but we got connections. I can ask questions for you.
Do you have Johnny says something really complicated, something that's like related to like internal diagnostics. And it's
Uh-huh.
basically just a question wondering if he's got upgrades.
Ah, yeah. So he says, yeah, if you need a shop that can do that kind of work, I'm sure we can find one. There are a handful of older models, guide, and you can see him about to say robot, and then like maybe that's not the right word to use in the situation. He says, artificials, guides, they're still working, Arctic models. So there's a few shops in town that repair and upgrade them. We're big on reusing stuff here, so if you need any adjustments or anything, yeah, I can put you in the right hands.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
also might need some reformatting for Christine.
And he walks over and he looks at her and she's under a sheet and he looks at you, Haley, and he's like, "May I?"
Oh yeah, let me get my bag off her face.
And so you like remove your stuff, and he reaches out and he pulls back the sheet, and I think that Haley, you notice he has a tattoo on the inside of his wrist that he looks like he's had it removed, but you can still see like the scarring. Right, so there's this sort of like patch of scarring, and he reaches out and he pulls the sheet back, and you can see, and he like on his face, he looks. Anybody who's looking at him, he has a moment of what seems to you to be like true like sadness. Like he looks at her like, oh, and he leans in and he kind of like brushes her hair out of her face, and he looks at her and he nods, and he looks up and says, I guess probably to Haley because you're standing close. He says, palimpsest syndrome.
Yeah.
He nods. He says, this is why we never overwrite them. It just causes problems. If you're going to make something, make it to do something the way it's supposed to. You can't just repurpose people like this. Well, it's a little
Well, we
outside of
didn't.
my... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we didn't do it.
And he
You're
says,
preaching to the choir, man.
Yeah, and he's like, it's okay. It's okay, sweetheart. It's just I hate to see such a beautiful thing pushed in the wrong direction like that.
You
He kind of
said
stares at her. He's like,
you said we. You said there's a moment where like
Yeah.
I think Autumn speaks without thinking. Like he's the way he talked about it. He wasn't talking like one of us. He was talking about Christine as something else, right? Like a thing, like something he's made or something. That's yeah. He
maybe.
was.
And do you want to call him on it? Do you want to be like,
Like, well, I think she's
said
like
we.
you. Yeah, you said we because he said something like we made them like that or something. I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was
Yeah.
something along those lines. And I think like she repeats that back to him, like, and then there's this kind of just like a kind of a thought process. I think like where she kind of sees him in for the sense. Can you
Yeah.
can
And
you
do you
help
say
her?
something?
Yeah, I say like you can you help her?
So you don't call him out. You're not like, wait a second.
I
You
think
said
I look
we.
at him. I think I look at him with that kind of. I think I know what you are like, and I say like when I say like,
Okay.
can you help her? It's like that. I think you can, kind of intonation.
Yeah. Okay. When you say that, he looks up at you as if kind of noticing you for the first time. And he smiles and he nods and he says, you have such lovely features. Your mother must have been a beautiful woman. Good blood. I don't think I can help your friend. Right? He looks at her, he's like, I don't think I can help your friend. This sort of thing isn't really my expertise. But I know someone who might be able to. Someone with some recycled Trilliant equipment that we could maybe use to help her. Anyway, I'm sure all of you are very tired. Find an empty room. They're all yours. If you need anything, I'll be in my office. I'm going to make some calls.
Kind of just nod.
And he turns to walk away, to like leave you leave you here. And I think maybe that's the moment, right? That like mixture of, and like this would be all communicated by the soundtrack, right? Like he walks out and nobody says anything, but you all kind of look at each other and there's like a tense kind of like minor chord in the soundtrack where it's like, we're finally safe. Or are we? Right? That kind of like tension in the moment, and then it fades out to credits. Yeah. So you've arrived. You've arrived on Cabina, and now you're being taken care of by this friendly fellow, who I'm sure will never betray you.
Super friendly.
And Haley saw you said it was a faded swan tattoo, didn't you?
He had a he had a tattoo or a scar or something on the inside of his arm.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta ask.
That's cool.
I have to ask House Crux about some things before I can get back to you about that. But
sure. Okay.
Yeah, you definitely you spotted that, Haley, but I don't think you have any context for it. People get scars all the time. So let's do some shout outs, and then we're gonna go and do our Patreon post show. Let's start with award-winning esports personality, djWheat. Why don't you begin our shout outs for us?
Man, thanks so much. I can't wait for that Rollplay award. No, I'm just kidding. I always enjoy this time. So players and DM, thank you very much. Audience, appreciate you stopping by. You know where to find me. djWheat just on everything. Just, I don't have much else to say. I'm really curious to see what is going to happen next. I wonder, as we hit the double digits in episodes, like maybe it's a role play curse, but every time I play like a combat oriented character, there's no combat. But like I'm sure you've got something in the works.
I mean,
so,
remember too that not 4 episodes ago you were like, can we have a minute to breathe? So maybe it's every 4 or 5 episodes it's like violence, no violence, no violence, back and forth. But I promise you'll have your opportunity to get in a fight. Yes,
I'm just playing. Thank you guys.
Don't you worry.
Thank you.
Excellent. Up above djWheat playing Autumn Vasca, it's Malk Hummus. Malk, take it away.
Hey, thanks very much. Thanks everybody for everyone who played. Thank you for Adam for GMing. Thank you for all watching it as well. It's good to be back. Miss Verona a lot. You can catch me. I do a D&D show called High Rollers. It's every Sunday if you want to watch it then at 5 o'clock UK time, which I think is 9 a.m. Pacific. It's really fun. You should come and watch it. And this is going to be the last one we do before we do a month of charity streaming with the Yogscast. So it's going to be the last one for a little bit. Otherwise, I also stream on my own channel. I've been playing a lot of Jedi Fallen Order recently. Probably going to play something when I finish that. Don't know what, but thanks. And really appreciate playing games.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Over on the other side, playing Haley Sky, Vana, please.
Hello. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk about poop for a second episode in a row. So nice of you. You can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vana. That's Vana. And you can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram @HavanaRama. And I've been sick for like 2 months. So streams have been pretty sporadic, but boy, one day I'll be a streamer again. I have hope and dreams. And then the finale of Pirates Assault Bay on Saving Throw Show is this Tuesday at 8 p.m. PST, and it's going to be a musical episode. So tune in for that.
Oh my lord!
twitch.tv/Saving Throw Show.
That's going to be great.
I'm going to have to watch that to see how that works.
I actually really like that show is quite late because I can actually watch it. Like I'll finish a stream and I'll be like, wait a second, look, this thing is starting, so I can tune in and check it out. So I'm excited. It should be fun. And last but not least, our beloved robot bartender playing Johnny Collins, Elspeth, take it away.
What's up? I'm Elspeth. You can find me at twitch.tv/Elspeth. I play Johnny Collins. Some people have been asking about his lore. He's just this bartender that was made. There were millions of him made. He's a version 3, and that's pretty much it. He's a toaster. He's just like super, super, super like, low grade robot service AI guy. So, but yeah, you can find me on Twitch. I usually stream in the evenings. I have like no set schedule. I'm pretty awful about that. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. Low Tad Gang, what's up?
Low
That's
Tad
my
Gang.
card.
Low Tad Gang, what up? Low Tad Gang for life.
So
merch.
for anybody who has not tuned into Elspeth's stream before, my favorite thing about it is that you can tune in and over the course of 10 or 15 minutes, you will hear 17 different people talking to you. Like I'll turn on your stream and I'll alt tab to go do something and I'm like, what the hell? Where is that voice coming from? Oh, it's Elspeth. Okay, good. I didn't just
All right.
randomly get like
Turn on this
every
bitch.
sentence
Yeah.
is a different voice. Yeah. So check it out. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. It is always a great time to get to play that Far Verona. I'm happy to be back doing it. You can find me on Twitter at skinnyghost or on Twitch, twitch.tv/Adam Coble, where I am about to finish, I think, what has proved to be maybe my favorite game of the whole year, if not the last few years. I'm playing the hell out of some Death Stranding, and I love it so much. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to do some more of that after the show. Otherwise, you can find me right here. I guess the next time you're going to see me is tomorrow afternoon. Me, JP, Gassy Mexican, and Ezekiel III, we're all going to be PCs for Dan's Gaming's very first ever inaugural dungeon mastering experience. So that's happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. It's called Ravenclast, Roleplay Ravenclast, and I am so excited to see Dan take on the role as Dungeon Master. I think Dungeon Master is going to be pretty sick. So definitely tune in for that. If you want to see that happen, that's tomorrow. But that's it for us for today. We're going to go and record the post show, which you can check out at patreon.com/roleplay. And we'll see you next time for more Far Verona. Hey, everybody.